It's time to talk sports, it's time for the show. When you hear this song on the radio, it's time to tune in, better act fast. Let me get that Potograph. Potograph, Sports Talk Radio. Starting now.
It's time! What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 155 of Let Me Get That Potograph and the 2022 National Pre-Show. As always, my name is Drew, or the DH, and joining me, my awesome co-host, Mr. Scott Rappaport. What up, dude?
Drew, it is awesome to be back for another week and to be going through this national convention tailgate right now, because that's really what it is. We're pre-gaming it. Yep. You know, we're getting ready to pack our bags and head to New Jersey.
I'm literally packing my bag like as we speak and leaving tomorrow to go to Jersey. I have to spend extra time there.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know, I'm not leaving till Tuesday, so I'm happy about that. Dude, I'm excited about what we got coming up on the show today. This is like, you don't get to talk to these people.
Yes, as Scott said, we do have some amazing guests. We have Tim Virgilio, the founder of Signatures for Soldiers, doing some awesome charitable work. And then we have the director of communications of the National itself, Mr. Ray Schulte, both joining the show today to give you guys a little preview of what's going on, highlight some of the main events, give you guys some tips if it's your first National, and a whole lot of other awesome info. It's going to be a blast, dude.
I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun.
A
lot of fun.
I'm bouncing up and down in my chair just waiting to get into this.
Well, bounce no more, because without further ado, let's bring them on in. We've got two very special guests joining us today. First off, the founder of Signatures for Soldiers, one of the best organizations around, Tim Virgilio. Tim, glad to have you back, man.
Thanks for having me on. Always good to see you, brother.
Absolutely. And then also joining us, the man behind the scenes. You might not know it, but he's responsible for getting that National taken care of and you guys having so much fun at Disney World for sports cards. That would be the director of communications for NSCC, Ray Schulte. Ray, what's up, man?
Hey, great to have you. Great to be here, you guys. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for joining us. This is, of course, our NSCC preview show. So I know we've got a lot of stuff going on. I know you guys have a lot of stuff going on. But one thing I do want to ask just right off the bat, what's the one thing you're most excited about for this year's National?
Well, go ahead, Tim. You start it off.
For me, it's the auction that's being run, the National Sports Collectors Convention auction, powered by Pristine, benefiting Signatures for Soldiers and Military Missions in Action. Again, This year, thanks to Ray and the organizers of the National, where we've been identified as the charity partner. So the auction that's running through Pristine's website closes July 30th, and all of the bid price goes directly to Signatures for Soldiers to help homeless and disabled veterans. So obviously, I'm extremely excited about that. But also just kind of being back at the National again and being set up there and you know, seeing everybody again and meeting new folks and continuing to get the word out about Signatures for Soldiers.
And Tim, really quick, before we get to Ray and his answer on what he's most excited about, there's a lot of people that don't really know about Signatures for Soldiers and, you know, who you guys are, what you do. Can you kind of go into that a little bit just to, you know, give everybody a better idea as to why it's such a great charity and a great organization?
Yeah, absolutely. So Signatures for Soldiers started in November of 2014. I was supporting a charity that helps homeless and disabled veterans and trying to figure out a way to raise money for them. So I started reaching out to athletes, asking them to sign cards for me, knowing that I was going to sell the cards, and that 100% was going to go to the charity. And my original goal was $500. And pretty much through very much grassroots effort, it got to the point where I had to name it and started to really kind of figure out, exactly what this was going to look like. And it's just really taken off. And to date, we're quickly approaching $150,000 raised. And the National has been a big, huge supporter of our efforts in raising money to help homeless and disabled veterans. This is the second year in a row that we've been named the charity partner, and really grateful for that. So it's just been a great collaboration. It's been a great way for me just to stay connected to the hobby, continuing to do some stuff that I enjoy doing in terms of autograph collecting and sports memorabilia collecting, and then helping collectors get those items into their collections while raising money for programs that help homeless and disabled veterans. So that's kind of my elevator speech.
And I just want to point out really quick that even though the organization is called Signatures for Soldiers, you're also working with sailors and Marines and airmen as well. It's not strictly for Army.
Signatures for Marines, signatures for...
I tell you, Signatures for Sailors does have a really good ring to it.
It does. But yeah. So it deals with all branches of the military. It's not just Army. So nice pickup. Usually most lay people don't pick up on that. It's usually the military guys that pick up on that. So
and you can tell based on the one that I brought up first where my background lies.
Yeah, I have a soft spot for jarheads, so it's good.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all. So Ray, I know you obviously, like I said, you're the National would not go on without you. A lot of people do. I don't think realize this and how much you do at the National. So when it gets time that the National's there, when it's time for the National, when all the stuff that you have to do the rest of the year is done, what do you look forward to when you're at the National?
Wow. Well, I'm going to follow up on what Tim was saying. I mean, the thing I love about participating and being part of this community is being able to give back.
Yeah.
And I started this a couple of years ago with the national auction, and with Tim, it's such a great cause. And I started it because when we go into a community, we ask so much of that community in terms of service and just their workforce and everything that goes along with it. And so I figured, well, let's do it so that the exhibitors can really take pride in giving back to the community. And so that's why we started the auction, honestly. And now it's kind of it's evolved to where, guys like Tim can put money to work that, that you can only dream about in terms of, the opportunities for disabled and homeless military veterans, men and women. So it's, that's rewarding and that's exciting for me. I do that with a passion, and we've got a great team with Pristine Auctions and some of our other corporate partners that are participating. So that's the fun part of it. In terms of the excitement that I have when I get on the floor, there's a lot of buying, selling, and trading, and we have over 650 exhibitors, corporate partners, Breaking Pavilion, Autograph Pavilion, TriStar. But the thing that fascinates me the most, it gets me most exciting, is seeing the families on the floor, seeing them interact, and seeing them connect. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a dad or a son or a mother and a daughter, or vice versa, just connect on the floor. And it's all via collecting. You think about it. And, we've kind of evolved as an industry, and especially the National, to where, we have sport cards, we have sports vintage memorabilia, but we also have pop culture. And we have a lot of things that have expanded in the collectibles business industry that that now we have families coming to the event. And to me, that's the most exciting thing. So when I walk up and down the aisles, I look at the families, and I get a lot of pleasure in knowing that they're they're making a day of it or a week of it, and they're connecting and they're excited about being there.
And Ray, I'll tell you, I normally, walk the floor and, meet with clients that I have in the room and, and things like that, try to drum up some new business, for my day job. And I took a day off last year in Chicago and brought my son. And he had so much fun just kind of, being there and walking around. It's, his first huge card show since, he started getting into the Pokemon stuff. And, just the look on his face, just being able to look at all the different stuff that, that everybody has. And he had an absolute blast and asked if he can come to Atlantic City with me this year. And I kind of felt bad having to tell him no. But I did tell him that he is definitely welcome to, come back with me again when it's back in Chicago next year.
Yes,
well, you should be like me and put your son to work.
That's my son next year. Hey, my son wants to do content creation. He's doing some little shows for Let Me Get That Potograph here, some spinoffs with me. He's already convinced and told me that he's in next year and he's part of my crew. So I'll be putting my little one to work next year.
Well, ours are about the same. They're pretty close in age, so maybe they can hang out together and and get some content done for us on the show floor.
Well, it's funny because I give him some responsibility on the floor, and last year he was responsible for showing the HBO Sports. The whole team. They had about 8 or 9 guys there, around the floor and kind of highlight certain areas. And boy, he mastered that. He did a great job on it. They came back and said, "Hey, do you mind if we take a picture with your son?" It's like, okay, fine. But when you find out the kids, the fact that it's collecting, it's athletes, it's all the above, but it's also a good business sense too. In other words, I think they learn a discipline. At least I try to teach that in the sense that, hey, this is all fun and great and all that, but there's a reason why we're here. There's a reason why, when I give you a task, why you need to follow through and follow up on it. And I think he came out last year in Chicago and he was very excited about, what transpired and, said, "Hey, I got to go to Atlantic City too. Am I invited?" I said, "Sure, absolutely."
Nice. So I want to talk a little bit about the auction itself. That's going on for Signatures for Soldiers. We had Tim from Slab Strong on a couple of weeks ago, and he made sure that he was highlighting that Pat Tillman downtown PSA 10 that is up there that he has donated, and so that's kind of a key item that's hopefully going to generate some good bids and some good donations. But Tim, what else do you guys have that's currently running in the Pristine auction that people can go check out? Obviously, you're not going to go through the whole list, but give us some highlights of what's there.
Let's see. Off the top of my head, there's I think it's a Beckett 9 1968 Ryan Kuzman rookie card that's up there.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a beautiful card. I know there's a Jordan rookie. I can't remember the grade on that. I think it's a 6. So the 87 Fleer that's up there. Let's see what else. There's a lot of signed memorabilia in terms of various. There's a lot of full size racing helmets that are signed by drivers.
Nice.
Yeah, I believe Kyle Busch is one of them. I forget some of the others. There's a Dale Earnhardt mini helmet that's signed.
Junior or senior?
Junior.
Okay.
Yeah, Dale Junior. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Oh no, Junior. Look, Junior. He generates a lot of buzz. People love him. Senior though, if you had a mini helmet signed by him, that would be. That might be the top item in the auction.
Yeah, there's.
I think one of the great things about this auction, and thanks to Tim, was the fact that we started out July 1st. The auction went live on Pristine Auction. We have about 130 items up there now, but it's going to grow right up until Saturday, July 30th, and we've already had, conversations with TriStar, and Tim's got some contacts too, that, we're going to get a lot of items at the show. And so that will grow from 130 to maybe up to 300 items. So what we try to do is tell people, hey, come on, every day there may be a new item or items up there on the platform. And, all of it is for the charity. But we're excited about getting into the show and all the exhibitors that will be donating items too. And we encourage that. Tim, I know Tim has a lot of friends out there that are willing and wanting to help out. So it's going to be very exciting once we get on the floor. Especially like with TriStar, we have 130 athletes there. Some of TriStar has been great about donating some meet and greets with them, and also some signed items. So it's I'm really excited about the results of the auction this year, and then we get to learn the good use that Tim puts it towards for the rest of the year. So it's kind of like it's evolved into a full year project, really, for me, and I know for Tim.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
It's been a lot.
Tim,
it's been a lot of fun. I mean, and it's not just me. I mean, there's so many, like Ray was highlighting, there's so many collectors and other people in the industry and other businesses that keep donating to this year after year. TriStar and Topps have been two of the big ones that have done this time and time again. So there's a lot of great items in there, from game used cleats to signed jerseys, signed balls, signed photos. There's I think it's a 16 by 20 photo of the Miracle on Ice signed by the team. So there's a lot of great items that are on there.
Yeah, I highly encourage everybody to definitely go check that out. And Tim, it's been absolutely incredible watching. I remember my first national was actually when you guys started, and Stu and I, or was your guys' first national as well. And I remember the small booth you guys had in the back and everything, kind of a last minute setup, and to see it grow, to see all of the, I work with a lot of different companies, just like Scott does in this industry. They're all, that's the charity of the hobby really now, that I think a lot of people look and go to. And it's become something absolutely incredible to see. Last year was amazing. This year looks absolutely incredible. So just want to commend you on an amazing job of really bringing this to light and doing some absolutely incredible good. And I'm hoping this year is going to be one crazy good one.
Yeah, I'm sure this year is going to be great. But, I really, I'm just a guy who just wants to do something fun and do some good. And, I can't do it without, guys like Ray and you two, and organizations like the National and companies like Topps and Ultra Pro and Pristine and TriStar. If it wasn't for all of that support, I'd probably be still working my way towards $500. So,
speaking of that $500, what was the total amount raised at last year's national?
So last year's national, our booth sales, we did like 12,500, right around there, and then the auction that we had last year raised about 14,500. So we did about 27,000 in total last year.
All right. So here's my challenge to everybody that listens to this. Let's double that this year.
Let's double it, guys.
You know what? I think that it is. Last year was an absolutely amazing national. The crowds were great. The amount of money going back and forth, changing hands. And the economy kind of sucks right now compared to last year. But we are a very generous community, and I think that we can double that. And that is my challenge to everybody that's listening, everybody that's coming. You don't have to come if you want to bid on anything that's on the Pristine Auctions website that's part of this. Go out there, bid. The money goes to an amazing cause. Let's try to get up to 52,000.
Yeah. And here's the thing is that all the items on the Pristine auction start at a $20 minimum bid. So it's not like everything's starting at, $500, $1,000 type thing. Everything's starting at $20, and then it's just building from there. And, people will hear the amount of money that Signatures for Soldiers has raised in almost 8 years. That's literally been a couple dollars here, a couple dollars there, just a little bit at a time. So, if people feel like, oh, well, I don't have several $100s to give, that's okay. If it's $1, if it's $2, I still remember in the first national that Drew was talking about in Cleveland, one of my favorite moments was a grandmother came over to the booth with her grandson, and the grandson was probably, 7. And he came over and, said hello to them. And he reaches in his pocket and he pulls out literally $2. And he says, "Here, I'd like you to have this to help our veterans." That was the greatest $2 that I raised at the national that year. That was so cool to see that. And it was something that I'll always remember, always cherish, because it just helps me remember, it's those little things that add up.
It's almost like one of those things that you don't necessarily want to put that money to use. You kind of want to frame it. It's only $2. And granted, $2 can go a long way. But it's one of those things you want to frame, with a little, story with the reminder, of that, because looking up at it from your desk, it's one of those like motivating things. It's like, all right, this is why we're doing this. This is, so I don't know. That's what I would have done with it. But it's, I had replaced the $2 with, a couple out of my wallet or something. But that's one of those. It's one of those things that, like, all right, I got to look at this, and I got to have that motivation every day, and being reminded of that story. It's a great story.
Yeah, I don't know if Tim remembers this, but last year in Chicago, I was walking by a booth, and there was these 2 teenage girls that were in the booth, and they were collecting money. And I asked them what that was for, and they said it was for Signature for Soldiers. And I stopped and I said, "Are you kidding me?" And they said, "No, seriously." And they had visited Tim's booth, and they got enamored with the cause and everything Tim was doing. So they went back to their booth and started, collecting money for Tim. And to me, that's what it's all about. It's about community. It's about everyone helping out and being in a position that we can do it. I mean, I've got to also thank people like David Gelfman. David heads up the Ripping Wax, Breakers Pavilion. And he's donated the booth so that Tim could utilize throughout the 5 days of the show. Our convention people have donated chairs and signage and all that kind of. Everybody is wanting to get involved and donate whatever they're capable of donating, whether it's goods or money, and that's really what it's all about. So it's kind of a situation where it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah. And Ray, I think you bring up a great point. Signatures for Soldiers originally started as just a fundraising thing. And now it's, 8 years later, even if I wanted to stop, I probably couldn't, because it's become such a community effort. And my wife and I talk a lot of times about how people want to be involved and they want to give back. They just don't know how. And I think Signatures for Soldiers has become that community and has become that vehicle for people to be able to do that with, whatever resources that they have in the moment at that time. And they see, that $2 adds up very quickly.
That it does. Well, Tim, I know you have a couple other things you have to take care of today. Like I said, we're all very busy headed to the National. Ray, I'm going to keep you hostages. I got a couple more things I'd like to discuss with you. But Tim, before I do let you go, let everybody know once again where they can follow Signatures for Soldiers and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So website is signatures4soldiers.com. Twitter is at SIGS, SIGS, 4 soldiers. And then we're also on Facebook, Signatures for Soldiers, all spelled out, and on Instagram as well. So try to stay really active. I haven't been as active as I wanted to lately, just because getting ready for my trip up to New Jersey. But I think people understand. So looking forward to seeing everybody there.
Absolutely.
Tim, it was great having you on, and everybody make sure when you're out in Atlantic City next week for the National, stop off the Signatures for Soldiers booth. Say hi to Tim. I know I will, and help out the cause.
Absolutely.
Guys, appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
All right, Ray. So once again, guys, that was Tim Virgilio, the founder of Signatures for Soldiers. Make sure you go hit that Pat Tillman up or any of the other auctions. They're so cool. Tim from Slab Strong did an incredible job putting this together along with Pristine, Ray, everyone else. It really is something amazing. And I do think we are going to double that spot. So make sure to go check those and all the other items out. And as Ray and Tim said, there will be tons added throughout the event. So if you drop by, don't see something, check back in a couple of days. A lot of new stuff will probably be there. But Ray, let's transition a little bit to this year's National. So it's right around the corner. Everybody's getting ready. Everybody's getting their travel, everything done and all that. What are you expecting from this year's National? Scott had mentioned, economy being down and everything, but we saw just the other day, tickets are sold out for a second year in a row. Tickets sold out, everything. It looks to be another massive show. So what are you expecting this year?
Actually, you bring up a good point. And, we talked about, community. And I think that's really the key thing, with social media. Especially during the pandemic, so many people made new friends, and obviously they were communicating via being the internet, and I think what the National brings is an opportunity for them to get face to face and kind of facilitate their relationship, and so when I talk to people, it's mostly about can't wait to get there to see my friends, or I can't wait to talk to people or see people I haven't seen in a long time. And for me, that's first and foremost. I mean, buying, selling, and trading is important, and the economy could be up, it could be down. But for me, I think it's all about the community. I really do. I mean, and the economy is going to take care of itself. And I've seen in this particular show, the show in Atlantic City, there's so many things going on off-site, which, it's kind of like what we always wish for, is like it's a destination, but it's also a place where people can socially conduct business too. Right. And, there's so many, there's the trade night, and obviously there's something that we facilitated in-house this year, thanks to Ryan Johnson and Tracy Hackler. But, there's other trade nights, there's other, corporate parties and get-togethers, and, it's just unbelievable. Every single night it's kind of maxed out. And that's kind of what it's all about too, is being able to see people, whether it's a CEO or whether it's somebody in customer service. It's an opportunity to go face to face with these people. And I just think, the way the industry is evolving, there's so many new things, new companies, new software, new tech, and a lot of that is showing up at the National. There's going to be a lot of huge announcements made, and some of them that I've had to sign non-disclosure about because it's that big, and I've never had to do that before. But so people want to be part of it. They want to be part of that whole experience, and with the Breakers Pavilion, with the Autograph Pavilion, they're maxed out. I mean, we can't. I don't know if we could ask TriStar or Ripping Wax to do a better job than they've already done in terms of being a national vendor. And the exhibitors, everyone is coming prepared. Everyone is coming to engage and interact and facilitate a situation of community. So I'm very excited about it. I've always been excited about the show, but this show in particular is something where I just think there's so much more that even is going to exceed my expectations. And so, that's worth looking forward to.
So, Ray, it's been a while since we've been to Atlantic City for this. I think it's been, about 6 years?
2016,
yeah, the 2020 show was supposed to be there, but due to the pandemic, it got moved, and with the IX Center in Cleveland getting sold, and that I think was supposed to have been this year. Atlantic City slotting in again is good. So because it's been such a long time since anybody has been there, and because Chicago is such a well-known, in Rosemont, the convention center there is so well-known. What are the big differences between, let's say the Stevens Convention Center in Rosemont and the convention center in Atlantic City as it pertains to the show itself?
If you're asking me in terms of physically and operationally, both venues are fantastic. Both venues are easy to work with. A lot of people don't realize that, and I've done this, I've worked with all the leagues and on all their events, and I've been almost in every major convention center in every city throughout the country, whether it's an all-star game or a Super Bowl or whatever. And so I know that, working with the unions and working with the convention people, can be challenging at times. We're very fortunate in that with Atlantic City and Chicago, we've got some great convention people that bend over backwards to help us. And when I say help us, I mean, even with exhibitor loaded, it's really kind of, with our guy, Larry Ross, who does a fantastic job. And if you're an exhibitor, you know who Larry Ross is. He does a fantastic job of getting people in and out on the floor. Sometimes people take that for granted now, but think about it. That's a huge challenge for anybody. And so to answer your question, I love working with the people in Atlantic City. And it used to be a time. This is, I think, our fourth time in Atlantic City. But it used to be a time where Atlantic City used to have the leverage. I mean, it was the destination. The hotels and everyone else had leverage, and they used it. Now I think they're kind of targeting families and they're welcoming as many people as they can. So they really want our business, and that makes a big difference. And so it's not a bad thing. I think, being on the East Coast, I love Chicago, don't get me wrong, but, changing it up, mixing it up once in a while is not a bad thing. And I think, being on the East Coast with the rich tradition, heritage, sports and memorabilia, traded cards, I think that, that's going to help out. And it does help with expanding the industry and the base too. But I'm actually, I'm probably more amazed by all the local shows that have popped up throughout the country, and all the regional shows that have popped up through the country, all the shows that are now in malls, all the shows now in brick and mortars. I mean, it's amazing. And people say, well, isn't that competition for you? And I said, absolutely not. And I said, it's what we consider growth in the industry. And, I look at it that there's, a significant amount of growth that we still need to experience. Via expansion, whether it's pop culture, entertainment, and all that, expanding into families, expanding into new money, expanding into, international. I can't tell you how many international people, exhibitors and collectors are coming into town. It's a good thing. We can't control the economy, but we can make it to a situation where we're welcoming these people coming in.
So speaking of welcoming, one of the questions that I wanted to know personally is, how does the parking situation differ from any of the other centers? Obviously, Chicago, we got the massive parking garage that's right across the street. Cleveland was a giant, open air parking lot, at the IX Center. For somebody who's been to those other shows but hasn't been to Atlantic City, how does parking look? And, is it one of those situations where you better show up early, otherwise you're not getting a spot? Or is it something where, come anytime, there's plenty available?
Well, it's funny you say that, because I've been talking to a number of people, and they said, well, yeah, we're going to get there at the convention center at 10 o'clock. And I have to remind them that not only, that you have to consider parking, but also too, once you get to the convention center, there's going to be extremely long lines to get into the convention center or get into the show. So anytime that you're planning on from a timing standpoint, you've got to add time into that. And so, I would do all my due diligence in terms of finding parking, via the internet now, go to Meet ACC, or AC, on the internet and find out, where the best parking is and the costs and all that. But, it's going to be really, tough in terms of just getting people into the show itself because of the number of people that are going to attend.
So what you're saying is get your passes and tickets early, if you can, to avoid the long lines getting in. Because with tickets selling out, that tells you right there the crowds are going to be huge.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we still have general admission tickets available online, and we'll be selling them on site. But that's the lines. Even last year the lines were long, and so if you're planning on being there for X amount of hours, make sure you incorporate an hour or two, and we're just waiting in line to get in. But the good thing is that it's all worth it once you get in there.
Absolutely. And speaking on that, as someone who has been to a couple of them, and I don't think I've still mastered exactly how to do the national, but I know we're going to have a lot of families, a lot of collectors, investors, from all walks of life. As someone who's so involved in the national, what's some advice that you would give outside of parking, like Scott just covered, but once you're inside, once you're through those lines, some advice that you would give maybe first time comers to the national, as I know there's probably just as many this year as last year that are coming, maybe not as much, but a lot of first timers. What's some advice that you would give in terms of successfully navigating the national?
Well, that's a great question. And it's one thing that I have to pay attention to as well, because last year in Chicago and previous shows too, you have it in your mind that you're going to, see X amount of people, friends, business partners, whatever. There was about 25 people last year that I had expected to see, spend some time with. I just never got to see them.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, you get distracted, you get pulled away. Something pops up that's so exciting that you've got to spend that time there. So for me, what I recommend, and I'm actually doing that right now, is kind of creating a game plan, a structure where there's X amount of people that I know that I want to see. All right, I know that I want to see these people. I got to see them when I'm there. I'm actually putting their email address and their cell phone number next to it, because I'm going to use that list so that when I get there, I can text them and say, "Hey, listen, I'm here. Let's get together." And you'll find that it sounds trivial, but it's important that you have some kind of game plan going into this, because you're not going to be able to kind of make it through the entire floor, the 400,000 square feet in one day. And so what I would do is, like, depending upon what you collect, who you want to see, you can go to our website and there's a list of all the exhibitors, and you can just pick out exhibitors that, hey, I got to see these, or I want to see these people while I'm there during the course of the 5 days. And just kind of, put them down on a list and make sure that you cross them off when you get there. That's the only way that you're going to be in a position to control the situation and, leave knowing that, hey, you know what, I got to see as many people as possible. And I'll be doing that myself.
And Ray, something along those lines, because you're going to be walking, and not you personally, but, people that are listening to this, you'll be walking around and, even though they may not be on your list of people that you want to see. You may see some things that, pique your interest and say, hey, you know what, I kind of want to come back to that. Maybe if I've got some leftover money, or, maybe you'll see if the guy will, trade for something, whatever the case may be. The one thing I always recommend is have a map, have the show layout that's got the booth numbers on it that you could take, write down on, say, hey, this is where I found, X that I'm interested in. Because if you don't have that, the chances of you finding that booth again within a reasonable amount of time or at all is slim to none, because there is so much there. And in past years where I, didn't have a map, and I've got a client over here at booth X, and, booth Y is on the other side of the floor with another client, and trying to get back and forth. Usually the first couple of times that I've got to do that, I can't find, the booth that I'm looking for. And, so have a map. And even if who you're going to go see from an exhibitor standpoint, their booth numbers are probably next to their name, on the list. So you can, say, hey, I want to see these 5 guys, look at the map, and then you can see, okay, this one's here, this one's here, this one's here. And you can actually, plan it logically, to do a loop around the show floor with it, or, you can zigzag. I mean, however you want to do it, whatever makes sense for you. But, that way it's not just completely random. Oh, we're looking for this guy, and, you're going all over the place and you can't find him. So the map is key.
The map is really important. It really is. And there's one other thing too that I think your viewers may want to think about is the Mike Burkus main stage. For years, it was all about content and having people up there to, whether it's showcasing like a great podcast like you guys, or whether it's new product or breaking or whatever. This year, David Gelfman and his team put together a tremendous 5-day schedule, and it's packed with just unbelievable content. So you're going to want to visit the Mike Burkus main stage and find out who is at what time, and make sure you come back and get updated on that, because that is where a lot of stuff, a lot of announcements are going to be made, a lot of interviews are going to be had, and it's really become one of the focal points for the show. And I remember, like it was yesterday, Mike Burkus, when I think we introduced that in Cleveland, and it was just like it was so important to him, that we have a focal point within the show, and be able to do what I just mentioned, showcase and introduce, and so I think if he were to see it today, he'd be really proud and excited about how it's turned out, and we are too. So make sure you check out the Mike Burkus main stage once you get there. It's in the Breakers Pavilion, and that's sponsored by Whatnot, but it's going to be really fascinating and exciting.
Yeah, the Mike Burkus stage, definitely, guys. One of my favorite parts. We've been on it quite a few times, and Friday, you definitely want to check it out for Hobby Hotline. We're kicking off today on Friday with Hobby Hotline, so you guys all better be there if you're at the National. But the Mike Burkus stage has been incredible. It's hosted some. I thought that was a genius idea. I had never been to a national when there wasn't one, because my first one was when you guys introduced it. But I've always loved the main stage because so many memorable moments have happened on that stage. Whether it be the mantle that was pulled year one, just so many different things have happened on that stage. So much amazing content, so many great speakers, conversations. You can learn a lot about this industry and the hobby that you love from the Mike Burkus main stage. So guys, definitely that is a must go to if you're headed to the National.
Yep. And we're excited that you guys are participating too. So that, that makes it again, makes it valuable to us and to all the attendees.
Well, thank you very much, man. Well, Ray, I know you have tons and tons of stuff to do to get ready for the National, because I know I got a lot. I can't imagine what your schedule's like. So we won't keep you too much longer, but before I let you go, is there anything, any advice, anything else you'd like to let everybody know about this year's National, if they're a little late to the party but still interested in going or anything like that?
Yeah, well, I mean, certainly check out our website, nsccshow.com. Whether you're checking on an exhibitor who will be participating or timing, or you want to purchase general admission tickets, any and all information is there. And also follow us on Instagram. We'll have updates, and we'll have, a lot of relevant information about the show, about, a lot of the people that will be participating in the show. So we're excited about that. And, again, if you haven't experienced the National, and you have the time, check it out, because it really is a once in a lifetime experience.
Absolutely. Well, Ray, thank you so much for joining us, and I'll see you next week, brother.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. All right, y'all. And that was Ray Schulte, once again, the Director of Communications for the NSCC, the National.
I love those kind of conversations, Drew. We got a lot of good information. We heard a little bit about Signatures for Soldiers. Got a chance to, hear what the people that run the National are excited about.
Yeah.
For the National. Because we hear, the dealers are they're all excited for this and excited for that. But we very rarely hear from the people that put the show on.
Right.
To find out, okay, well, great, you put the show on, but what are you guys excited about?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you guys,
you're there,
what do you want to see?
What are you gonna do? What do you want to do?
Yeah, and it's a different perspective on things, and it's one that I like hearing, every now and again, because I do get sick of hearing, the dealers and the people coming to the show. I want to see this. I want to see that. You guys are putting the show on.
Yeah.
What excites you about this? And we got some good answers.
Yeah, no,
for that today.
I think so. I
think
also a lot of people that hopefully you guys took away some advice on how to navigate the show, how to, if you're going, and everything like that. And if you were on the fence, hopefully this changes your mind, because it really is one of a kind. And Ray really nailed it with the community. I spend more time at the National just talking to people. I mean, every year it was a time I'd get to see you, I'd get to see you and about 500 other people that I interact with on a almost weekly basis, but never get a chance to see in person. The networking, the camaraderie, we always, we've branded and kind of become the hobby. I mean, our hashtag is the hobby. And when you go to something like the National, you truly see why. You see that community, you see the close knitness together, but not only that, you see a lot of business partnerships come together. You see a lot of wheeling and dealing too, mostly coming from kids, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But you see a little bit of everything, and it's just something unlike anything else on this planet.
And I think that is absolutely spot on. And if you weren't excited, before listening to this about going, if you're not excited after as well, check your pulse.
Exactly.
Maybe go see a doctor, put a mirror under your nose, see if you're breathing, because this is one of those, you don't want to miss it, kind of events. And it's not, I'm not even calling it a show. It's an event, because that's really what it is. If it's your first time going, if it's your 20th time going, it is something to look forward to every year, because every year is different.
Yeah.
We see a lot of the same people. Yes. We see a lot of the same stuff, but there's always something different.
Yeah.
And year after year after year.
apparently, you and I were discussing it a couple of weeks ago. As far as announcements go, apparently there's a lot more announcements than we were anticipating, and some of them might actually be pretty big if we're signing NDAs. So that in particular got me very, very excited about what we might hear from a couple different companies.
Yeah, and I will say that if the ones that that Ray had to sign that NDA for don't turn out to be like huge blockbuster type announcements,
yeah,
I am going to be extraordinarily disappointed.
Oh, me too. And they're going to be slammed on the show.
Yeah, as soon as you hear that there's an NDA involved, it's like, ooh, this is juicy stuff. This is good. But now it's like it turns out to be something mundane.
Right. Hey,
like
we changed our flip. No.
Yeah, or hey, we bought a VHS grading company.
Right.
If it's something along those lines, it's like, oh man, somebody needs to be taken out back.
Yeah.
But no, I'm excited. Hearing that kind of stuff is very exciting. So I'm definitely looking forward to those announcements. I mean, any guess as to what they might be?
I have no clue. I have one guess, but and that's that I think we may hear the announcement that I've been thinking for a long time, that Panini is going to end up at least the card division over with Fanatics. That's one thing I could potentially see an NDA possibly being for. But I don't know if they would make that announcement at the National. And from people I've spoken to, I don't think that's as close as people think it is. So I'm not quite sure if that's one that I could maybe, but I really have no clue.
So
when
think about it. Well,
NDA, I was like, whoa, okay.
Just think about it this way: for those that have been to previous National, how much floor space that the Fanatics booth takes up. How much floor space the Topps booth takes up, and that's all Fanatics now.
Yeah.
Topps, I'm thinking it's the same company, even though it's probably going to be separate booths. Imagine the floor space that they're going to take up if they wind up taking over Panini's card.
It's going to be the whole main.
It's going to be. I mean, it's going to be the majority of the corporate area, and that's absolutely insane.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
The consolidation in this hobby is going to be very interesting. In 5 years at the National, I think, as more consolidation comes and some bigger companies, grab some smaller ones and everything, it's going to be neat and interesting to see how it lays out. Well,
here's something that I want to see. If Fanatics does wind up buying Panini's assets, that with that floor space, the top space, I want to see a corn maze.
Yes. Yep.
I want to see them put a corn because they'll have the space.
Oh yeah,
put a corn maze.
Yeah.
And at the end of the maze, you wind up at the, maybe it takes you an hour or two, whatever, to find your way through the maze. And at the end of the maze is the little desk that Panini has set up where you can exchange your redemptions. It's like, okay, print off all this stuff and make your way through the corn maze. Yeah. And, and when you get to the end of the corn maze, if you can find your way out,
I love it.
We will go ahead and swap out those outstanding redemptions for you.
Hey, Panini, get that corn ready. That's a great idea.
Jeff, I'm looking at Jeff. I'm looking at you, man. You got to put that in play.
I know you're listening, Jeff. So get it going. I expect it next year. I know you probably can't get all the corn ready in time right now. I expect it next year. All right, well, it's gonna be an awesome National. They always are. They're always different. They're always unique. I'm really looking forward to this one. I think it's gonna be a wonderful one. Looking forward to seeing some great friends. Looking forward to hopefully making some new connections and some new friends as well. And of course, do some awesome wheeling and dealing. But guys, that's gonna wrap up our NSCC preview show special. As we did have our other episode that just came out. If you did miss it, we're a couple of days late due to the good old COVID. But that episode is up right now. You can check that out as well. Again, I'd like to thank our awesome guests today, Tim Virgilio and Ray Schulte from Signatures for Soldiers and the Director of Communications of NSCC. And guys, make sure, of course, the Pristine Auctions, the major event, Pat Tillman, make sure you dive into all of that, get into some of that stuff, throw some bids up on some awesome stuff, or bring some stuff to donate. Every little bit helps. Signatures for Soldiers, absolutely incredible company. And I'd like to thank our awesome sponsors, Vintage Break, Vanity Slabs, Slab Strong, Show Your Slabs, and Card Ladder. We could not do this show without you guys. But Scott, man, another great preview show, and I'll see you at the National, buddy.
Yeah, keep an eye out on socials for some awesome live content. So you never know what is going to pop up and where I'm going to be on the show floor, and it's all worth checking out. So follow the Let Me Get That Potograph Instagram account, Facebook, Twitter, and any you find, because it's going to be popping up all over the place. It's going to be a crazy week, and Drew, I'm looking forward to getting a chance to sit down and having a drink.
Oh, absolutely. And guys, if you're at the National, please come say hey. And if you're not, like Scott said, live vicariously through us, as we'll have tons and tons of content. But until then, guys, you know the deal. Keep ripping those packs, pulling those hits. We'll see you after the National. Peace.